All right, everybody. Good evening to the Thursday Night Forum. It is the Champions League. It is back after 7 long seasons. I believe I'm right there, Stan. 7 seasons we've been out
Yeah.
of this competition, and now we're back. Seasons. I believe I'm right there, Stan. A little bit of reverb there. Yeah. How are you feeling about that?
Well, it's good to be back. It's good to be back playing with the big boys. That's where the money is. Where the trophies are.
You kind of look back over 7 years, and we were kind of in the wilderness for 7 years.
Yeah, it affected our team building. It wasn't a good place to be. And, getting to a Europa League final and not even being able to win that was quite disappointing. I would have liked to have got that one just to be a completionist, to add that in the cupboard. We've done that, been there, on to the next one.
Yeah. I remember the completionist stuff, and Mahir and I doing a watch along. We didn't do many watch alongs on this podcast, but we felt we were feeling pretty good at the time about the Europa League final against Chelsea. We had just done them in the FA Cup the season before, and I thought it would go a lot better than it went that night. It was a pretty poor night against Chelsea back in the day, but we're back in the big pot, all big ears. And the draw has been kind to us, Stan. Did you see the teams that we've drawn?
Yeah, I was listening on my way to work this morning. I had Talk Sport one on, and they were doing the draw. So we've got Sevilla, PSV, and who else?
FC Lens.
That's it, FC Lens.
Yeah. So Sevilla, if the Spanish team, they actually won the Europa League last season. You're talking about being completionists.
That's why they're in the competition.
They've got a little bit of pedigree, and they've punched their ticket as the number one seed. So I suppose all things being equal, the winners of a cup competition, albeit a European competition, it's probably one of the easier first seeds we would face in this draw.
Well, looking at some of the other groups, I think that what we've got is quite kind compared to some of the other groups that came out.
Yep.
What was the one I was thinking? What was the one with Newcastle?
PSG, Dortmund, and AC Milan. I've got them right here for you.
That's a
ouch.
That's a hell of a group. Although there is a part of me that I don't like to have, easy passes to qualifying into the final. You want to be able to say that you scalped the big teams along the way, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be hiding and trying to dodge them.
Hiding in the long grass.
Exactly.
Like Lichtsteiner in the Fiji Islands somewhere. No, there is a part of me. I agree with you, Stan. We kind of want to have those big. We remember the big European nights. Juventus would come, and Dennis Bergkamp with that outrageous flick to Freddie Ljungberg, and many European nights. We just don't have the time to go through all of them. But part of me is with you. Part of me is with you on that one.
I suppose as a player as well, you want to be able to measure yourself against the very best, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to see how good you really are. And as a manager as well, I'd imagine you want to see how good the team is against the very best.
We'll have to console ourselves by thinking Sevilla, they had the pedigree of the Europa League champions, but not really our group looks a little bit like a Europa League group, if we're being honest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so.
Sevilla.
Yeah.
So Sevilla are in as the number one seeds. Now, funnily enough, I just checked on each of the teams' league standings. After 3 games, Sevilla are rock bottom in the Spanish league. They've lost all 3 outings so far.
Good.
Yeah. Does look like PSV though. PSV Eindhoven, the other team that we're going to be.
Didn't they get in via a playoff against Rangers?
Yes, and they took care of Rangers quite handily.
Well, it's not the most difficult of chores, is it? To be fair. And I'm just saying that after their last outing in the Champions League, I don't think they got a single point, did they, in the group stage? Not a single point. And did they score any goals? I'm not sure they did that either. Maybe
in this qualifying group. I know they got a couple of goals, at least 3. I think. I
But
think it was a 2 in this last
last,
round
no,
against PSV.
I'm talking about the last
Uh,
last
I
year
couldn't.
out.
I don't think they did very well,
No,
Rangers.
they didn't get 1 point
Yeah,
in their group.
we had PSV last season, and we won one and we lost one at home. Now, obviously, they've lost a few players and moved on. As Lolo has said, he joined us here. Good draw. Got to win it. So yeah, we got to win our group. No excuses, indeed, no excuses.
I think
Lolo.
we've been ranked. I'm not sure who by, whether it's bookies or people that just do rankings, but I saw that we've been ranked as 4th favourites to win it, I believe, which is not bad considering that we've not been in it for 7 years.
Okay, so obviously Man City would be one of the main teams.
Yeah.
Real Madrid would be the second one, right?
Probably, yeah.
Who's that third team? I wonder. Maybe Bayern?
Maybe Bayern, maybe PSG.
Yeah, PSG. Okay.
Maybe.
We're probably better than Bayern, I would have to say. Not getting ahead of ourselves here. But it is going to be grand having the Champions League back in a number of weeks now in Arsenal's schedule. BX Gunner said, it's a good group. Tough outings with Sevilla, PSV, but we should top the group. If we take care of business, we should top the group.
And I think this is the last season that the Champions League stays in this format. It changes format next year, doesn't it? And adds more games.
Yeah. And I also believe, Stan, that we will have, remember we were talking about coefficients a few seasons ago? England will have the coefficients to maybe dictate that top five will go forward. You all right there?
Yeah, Germany have that, don't they? They've got 5 teams in.
I'm not sure.
No, they do.
Yeah.
I was listening to that, and they said that when they drew out one of the teams, the bloke was like one of 5 German teams in the competition, which is the most from any nation. I was like, oh,
all right.
Which for me, I've always felt that calling it the Champions League is just a bit silly. Why don't just go back and call it the European Cup? Let's call it the European Cup because it's not a League of Champions.
Yeah, it's changed. Wasn't back in the day where you had to be champions to rubber stamp your entry into it. Sean Zizi is here for you, Stan. Stan the man. I'll see you at the Cinema Club this Sunday.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going down. I think even because we've got a long weekend here as well. So cool. the missus is probably gonna come along as well.
Nice.
Listen, Sean, hang on, let me just say, Sean, it was you that I saw at the Whitecaps game. It was you, right? That came over and said hi to me at the Whitecaps game. Just let me know in the chat box. I'm sure it's Sean, yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to a pub, you're going to a bar on Sunday, the atmosphere is going to be electric, I'm sure, for that game. We'll talk about Man United in a little bit. BX, what's up, BX? So, yeah, look, Stan, PSV will be a little bit dangerous. Sevilla will be dangerous, but we should take care of Lens. 15th in the French league, only 1 draw and 2 losses so far in their campaign.
It's quite a funny story with Lens, isn't it? Because they went through some financial difficulties, and the fans literally kept the club going with their own blood. They would give blood donations for money, and the money would go straight to the club to help, get it through like the harder times.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant story.
Yeah,
literally giving blood.
I heard that today. Club. I was like, really? They literally gave their blood to keep the club going.
It was Sean at the Whitecaps game for you. Big up Sean for joining us. We'll be out with the BK Invincibles on Sunday. So yeah, it's going to be a big atmosphere on Sunday when Man United come to town, and we'll get into that. But that dropping 2 points against Fulham means this win against United is paramount and necessary, and all of those positive things. Yeah, Stan, PSG, Dortmund, Milan, Newcastle. The group of death. Group F. Good luck to Newcastle.
That's a baptism, isn't it? That's a baptism of fire coming back to the Champions League. I don't think they've been in since 2002, 2003.
In a few years.
Something like that. And that's their group, man.
Yeah. Eddie Howe is going to have his work cut out there. A couple of other ones. Napoli and Real Madrid will face off, but yeah, Man United got kind of a tough one. Bayern Munich, Copenhagen, and Galatasaray.
Yeah, Galatasaray is a team that nobody really wants to play, isn't it?
You don't want to go there with that atmosphere.
No.
It's very intense.
Then again, you could say the same. Some of the teams in Newcastle's group could be saying the same thing about St James's Park, and they sort of draw like, oh, we've got to go to St James's Park where they get their bellies out in the freezing cold weather.
They're probably getting their maps out in Dortmund, Milan, and PSG. Where is Newcastle? You know what I mean? All of a sudden. Nothing else really jumps out here. There's a couple of talking points with Man City, RB Leipzig. Man City just signed Gavardiol. He came from RB Leipzig.
Yeah.
Barcelona have a pretty easy group with Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Antwerp. So here's the things then. We really should be topping the group. You're obviously, I agree with you. You would like to have a really big name in there to have one of those big nights at the Emirates, but maybe it's going to help us, top the group. Got a really favorable draw. We're going to play a second place team if we top the group and have a real good chance of playing someone in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. I'd like to at least get to the quarterfinals in this comeback, so to speak. Obviously, I want to win it. I want to win it, but if I'm being honest, I'd like to just get out of the group and then get through the next round of 16 and get to a quarterfinal at least.
And this might actually help us in our league campaign as well, where we don't have these huge games to look forward to. I mean, Champions League is going to be huge, but it's not like playing a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich coming to town.
PSV will bring a big crowd of them.
PSV will, yeah. So excited to hear the Champions League music again, and we'll be watching Tuesdays and Wednesdays now, and we'll still be here on Thursday night to talk about Tuesday and Wednesday.
That's right. Yeah, works out well for us.
Yeah. BX Lolo said, "Why have Arsenal stiffed the home crowd?" This is about the Ashburton Army. Ballot system is crap. Ashburton Army can't get tickets. Yeah, it's hard.
They should be kind of on the VIP list of getting tickets because of what it is that they bring. They bring the noise, they bring the ruckus, which is it's nice to have something like that, right? They have the white caps in the corner as well. They bring in their drums and they make noise, and it's good to have that. A
little bit of atmosphere.
Every little bit helps, right? Every little bit helps, especially on a Thursday night, Thursday evening.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So, we dropped points against Fulham, and we're conceding goals early. Do you think some of that's down to the atmosphere being too emotional, too intense?
I don't know, because for years they used to call the gaff the library, didn't they? It's like a library up there. You'd hear people saying about the atmosphere. Now everybody seems to be coming home with sore throats, hoarse voices, because they're getting behind the team. And as we just mentioned, I look at a place like Newcastle, how sometimes that 12th man can help galvanise the team. I think the energy from the crowd, it bleeds onto the pitch to the players. They kind of feed off of it.
Yeah.
A little, like most performers do, right? If you're performing live on the stage, if you're DJing, acting, or doing a magic act, you feed off of the crowd, right? They're enjoying it. Makes you enjoy it and do better.
I see what I did there? I was playing devil's advocate a little bit, Stan.
That's my card.
I pulled your card first.
I do that.
Yeah. Well, you weren't doing any of that, so I did it. I went ahead.
Just getting going.
Just getting warmed up here. Yeah, listen, I was trying to make an excuse, maybe trying to make some kind of circumstance for why we're having these poor starts at home, especially, and we can't afford to do this on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and I would imagine that every team now has probably got that as a little side note when it comes to Arsenal. you can maybe nick a goal if you get at them straight away as soon as it's as soon as it's time to kick off.
Yeah.
You know?
So listen, we're gonna Champions League draws being made, and we'll know the fixtures. I think tomorrow the fixtures are coming out, but I'm not sure about that. And then we'll know how it's going to go for us. We should be able to navigate these fixtures alongside of our league fixtures as well, and continue to build a good campaign, Champions League and league, and the two cups alongside that. So this season's got to be about trying to generate four campaigns, Stan.
Of course,
You know,
we've got 4 opportunities to get silver.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, that's what it's all.
Yeah.
It's nice to finish 4th and qualify for the Champions League, but it's nice to also pick up a cup along the way.
As much as I hate to say it, Manchester United, I will give them props. They had a decent season last season. They picked up a cup and they finished in the top 4, so that's a good season for them.
Well, look at Tottenham. They fielded 9. They changed 9 players in the Carabao Cup, and that's it now. That's probably the only chance of we getting anything this season.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly where I was going to go next. We're going from a premium cup competition that Arsenal are in, the Champions League draw, to what we would say is probably our 4th choice competition, the Carabao Cup. But I don't want Arsenal to go out at the first attempt either. And like you said, Stan, a little bit of fun with Tottenham this week.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the one opportunity where they might have been able to have carved something, maybe the FA Cup, but I don't think so. But that's what happens if you rotate and put 9 in. It's not going to be good. It's not like FIFA, right? I do that in FIFA, but that's FIFA.
But I agree with what you're saying. It's what happens if you rotate too much. But Ange Tottenham were starting to feel themselves. Thought they were smelling like roses a little bit. But Funyuns, nice one.
Life is good.
Tuck into them.
Life is good when you've got a packet of Funyuns.
Yeah, they were starting to feel themselves a little bit, Tottenham. Got a couple of nice results in the league. They rotated, and now Ange, he had to go into a press conference and defend his actions.
Big Ange.
Trying to defend the likes of Richarlison, who's doing the chicken dance.
I just leave them go. Let them all get on with it, man.
It's entertaining.
Let them all get on with it.
BX wants us competing and bringing home silverware. Tottenham
have they not spent the Kane money yet?
They bought Madison. Madison's a decent pick for them.
Yeah,
decent player. I think they might have brought in 1 or 2 other players, but they had Son, they had Kulusevski, and now they've added Madison. Richarlison is never really going to be the striker they need.
Hope not.
Yeah. So where do you stand on rotating your squad so much? So Ange's excuse, Stan, was, I need to give these players games.
You do need to give them games, but in their situation, they also need to win trophies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they really shouldn't think that they've got the luxury to approach the Carabao Cup in that manner.
Disrespecting the competition, yeah.
But then it goes to, you see a team like Man City, they always feel a very strong team in that competition, Yeah. And it helps if your depth is of good quality as well, So you can take out a Saliba and put in a Kiwior, for example, or take out a Rice and have a Jorginho in there, depending on who you're playing. You can do things like that, but I'd be loath to make a wholesale changes and field a completely, backup 11.
Yeah, which he did.
Yeah.
So he's gone ahead and prioritized the league, and Tottenham fans are crying now. It was their premium and best chance of getting any kind of trophy under this manager.
But he's learned a lot from it, right? There's a lot of players that came into that squad that haven't grabbed their chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you learn a lot from that as well. You learn about he has to learn about the whole squad as a team, as an entire entity, not just the first 11.
Yeah, at the expense of exiting a cup competition, which is tough as well. What now? Have you seen the draw, the updated draw for the Carabao Cup, the third round,
No,
which we're going to enter? No.
no.
David Raya is going to be very disappointed because he's going to be. I think he's not allowed to be selected in this game. So
Why?
we've drawn Brentford
Oh, have
away
we?
from
Oh, I
home.
see.
Yep.
Okay, and he's not allowed to be,
No,
because he's on
it's
loan.
alone.
Alone,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, well.
most likely he's not going to be allowed to play against Brentford. The one chance he might have had is, he's looking in the calendar and saying, okay, Carabao Cup's coming up. I'll get a couple of games here and there.
So like it's the pick of the draw, though, right? You know,
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't surprise me if we saw David Raya playing on Sunday. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but it
yeah,
wouldn't surprise me because our manager is so unpredictable when it comes to his lineups.
that would be
It's hard.
ruthless.
It's
That would
hard
be
to second.
ruthless.
Might be for tactical reasons. He likes that one, right? It's tactical reasons.
Yeah, it'll all come out in the wash tomorrow when the transfer window slams shut. Isn't that what you say? Slams shut. Other fixtures in the Carabao Cup, and I think I'm going to give you a few Premier League fixtures in the Carabao Cup, and it's going to back up my argument. We should really try to get through to the next stage of this cup competition and not be like Tottenham and go out at the first time of asking. Newcastle are going to play at home to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup third round. So one of these big teams are going to go out, Man City or Newcastle.
Yeah.
Man United are going to play Crystal Palace. That's another Premier League team gone. Chelsea will play Brighton. A good draw there as well, right? They two teams that are becoming very familiar with each other in transfer wranglings. And
Well,
finally,
the manager of Brighton basically knows how half the players on Chelsea will play.
yeah, they have to go to the bridge though. Brighton will have to go to the bridge and put in a performance, and you just don't know what any of these teams will do in terms of their squad. Will they rotate heavily? I think Brighton kind of went for this competition last season as well. They dumped us out around about December in the quarterfinal, I think it was. And finally, Unai Emery will be playing at home to Sean Dyche's Everton. So those are the Premier League matchups in the Carabao Cup. So I really believe we should try and get to the next round. Obviously,
Who are we playing?
we're playing Brentford away.
Brentford.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
I know it's the Carabao Cup, but it's still
a lot of Premiership teams that are going to be out.
Yeah.
After that round.
Yeah, 5 Premier League teams will be out. So the theory, Stan, will be, let's say, Newcastle's gone, the Crystal Palace gone, Chelsea's gone, Everton's gone. The theory will be then you will play one of the weaker teams in the next round. Probably the odds will be more in your favor. So it's all about getting past Brentford now. Of course, Brentford are going to treat this probably with a high importance as well. But we'll see what happens in the Carabao Cup. 4 weeks from now, we'll be talking about the Carabao Cup. It's on the 26th of September.
Okay.
So I was looking. Next thing I want to talk about maybe is our squad, and with the transfer window closing, and of course, if you've got any topics, throw it at me. If you've got any, what do you call it? Those cards you want to play that I used on you earlier.
My devil advocate cards.
Devil advocate card, yeah. So I want to talk about the squad, and I was looking through our squad.
Yeah.
I could only really pick out 23 players that I really want that should be part of our squad. I'm including Timber on this.
And out of how many?
Out of 25. I think there's room for at least one more spot in our squad.
Well,
you want me to run through the players?
Well, it depends on the outgoings as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and we have a number.
Balogun has gone now.
Balogun's gone.
For £35 million.
Kieran Tierney.
On loan. It's a loan.
Yeah, he's going to be at Real Sociedad, and he's going to be playing in the Champions League stand. So, you know, hopefully he has a good time against Benfica, Inter, and Salzburg. Kieran Tierney. So
Yeah.
that's two.
So I'm not sure how much you've actually brought in. I think it was like, I think before the Balogun sale, it was something like 42 million.
Mm-hmm.
So add that to it.
Yep.
So that's 75 million maybe.
Yep.
If I've, around there.
It's not bad.
But this is the thing though, right? When we bring money in, what happens to that money? Does that go back into the pot where the Declan Rice money came out of, or the 200 million that we've spent so far came out of? Or does that go back into the transfer kitty to be spent on another player?
How would you feel? How do you feel about our squad right now? And let me know in the chat what you feel about the squad as well. I think we're a little thin at the back, right?
It all depends if it's going to use everybody. Because last season there were players that then didn't really get a sniff, like a Reece Nelson. If Reece Nelson's going to be coming in and rotating at times with Saka, helping Saka get rest, then maybe we're all right on that side. But if he isn't, and we're going to continue to run Saka into the ground, then there's an argument to say, well, then do we need a player that can play on that side as well as maybe another position? If he's going to use Reece Nelson, then we're good.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going to continue to use Eddie, stick with Eddie and Gabriel, then I don't see that there's room really for another option. Even though I still think we're a little bit short because, when we sold Lacazette and Aubameyang, only one came in. We got rid of two, one came in. Yeah?
Yes.
And now we've got Balogun going out. That really only leaves Jesus and Eddie, Trossard and Havertz notwithstanding.
Correct.
So there is an argument that perhaps we are light a striker. Do you know what I mean? But in Mikel Arteta's eyes, I think he probably doesn't see it that way because of the aforementioned Trossard and Havertz. He goes, well, they can play, and they play in a false nine style, which seems to be his preference over a striker that plays more on the tip.
Are we over? Yeah, let's stick a pin in the transfer for a second. Transfer window. Are we maybe over reliant on Saka, on Martinelli?
Yeah. They played so many games.
Yeah.
You could also throw Gabriel Megalegs into there because he played up until this period. He played 73 games.
Yeah.
For Arsenal. So we have been over reliant on some players.
Our forward players: Gabriel Jesus, Eddie Nketiah, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, Nelson, Trossard, Havertz, Emile Smith-Rowe, Vieira, Fabio Vieira. Put some respect on T-Bag, please. But those are our forward players, as I see it.
Maybe there's room for Rice, depending if you do a formation with Partey at the base and Rice at the left eight. I suppose he's flexible enough to be deployed there at times.
I've got what you would call the base of our midfield: Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, Jorginho, and El Neni, who will be available at some point. To me, these are all squad players, and then we can go into our goalkeepers and defenders. It's my thought, Stan. I think we're a little bit light at the back.
Well, let's look at the positions at right back, right? If we're going to let's look at it as a traditional four. Position. At right back, we've got Ben White who can go in there.
Yep.
Excuse me. And we've also got Tomiyasu that can go in there.
Correct.
And whether you like it or not, Cedric is still at the club, I believe. Whether he'll go before tomorrow, who knows? But he is there, right?
Yes.
Centre back wise, you've got Gabriel Megalegs, you've got Saliba, Tomiyasu can also play there. Ben White can also play there. And then you've got Rob Holding can play there. And you've got Kivior can play there. So that's 6. Do you know what I mean? On the left-hand side, you've got Kivior, you've got Zinchenko, and he has put Tomiyasu in there. That's 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, I know that sometimes, when I say that there's the centre backs, maybe Rob White, Ben White could be playing at centre back or right back. To me, I think that we got enough. It's a shame that we lost Timber for what I saw of his style of play, but I don't know. I think we've got enough. Why can't we have a one of the one that's emerging from the academy to be floating around, so that if we have to go back to where we're looking at the depth of, if something happens and we're looking at we have to go back to the depth of a Rob Holding, maybe we've got a young academy kid who could be giving Rob Holding a bit of competition and maybe the better choice if we get that, if we get that much in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've got 23 places now. I don't have a place for Rob Holding, and I don't have a place for Cedric, because I just believe they're going to be moved on.
But they're there though, right? That's what I'm saying. They're, at
right
the
now,
moment, they're
24 hours from now, it might be very, very, very different.
You want to be in a situation where you want to get to the end of the season and you haven't got into a situation where you've had to call on either Rob Holding, Cedric, and maybe El Neni. And when I say El Neni, I mean on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So if we can get through the season without really having to go to that, draw from that well, so to speak, I think we're right.
Yeah, I mean, if we are in a situation where we're desperate to get to an El Neni for a period of games, now El Neni can do a job for you in the FA Cup or Carabao Cup and help lead some of the younger players.
But for that one position, there's already 3 players ahead of him. So something bad must have happened if we go in there.
Yes, exactly. And we don't want that kind of bad to happen. For me, like I said, okay, Rob Holding's still there, Cedric's still there, but I really believe tomorrow they'll find their new clubs and they'll be moved on. And then we will have Tomiyasu, Saliba, White, Gabriel Megalegs, Kivior, and Zinchenko. And for me, that's a little bit light, Now, that academy player I'm going to put forward is probably the one that's most forward in his development. Walters.
That's the one I don't know nothing about him, but that's the name that pops up on the bench, doesn't it, now and again?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he seems like he's the one.
Right back, but could play defender if needed. And Zinchenko's been in an interview recently talking about Rule Walters as one of those players. Yeah. Okay. Zinchenko in an interview. That's all I needed to say to trigger.
Yeah, I probably just scrolled past that when I saw his face.
Bargoff, thanks for stopping by. Big up. Hope it's a fun stream. Gotta watch the Gator game. Yeah, a lot of people watching the Gator game. Gary's watching the Gator game as well. They're not gonna win. They're not gonna win.
I don't even know what the Gator game is, man. I've just got this image. It's something to do with like wrestling crocodiles or some shit.
Florida Gators. Spencer, good evening. Big up yourself, Spencer. And Tiger and Gooner is here. Now, this is commitment to us here, Stan, all the way from Australia. And I checked. Man. I think it's 11 a.m. in the morning in Australia right now.
No, he's at work.
Huh?
He's at work, man. So, I've made it at work. He's got it on in one headphone on the sly, so the boss doesn't know. Do you know what I mean? On his screen, he's probably got like a Excel spreadsheet to make like he's doing stuff.
I got a lovely comment from Tiger and Gooner earlier.
Thanks for coming in.
Got one as well from Stephen as well, asking about Martinelli and our comments about Martinelli, which to me, Martinelli has not hit the heights yet. And yeah, welcome Tiger and Gooner for being here. Bronco, Spencer said the Gators getting rolled by Utah. Usually the Alligators are the ones who usually do the rolling, the death roll, Stan, but it's been done to them.
I don't know what the Utah Saints are in there for. What are they doing there?
I don't know.
I thought they were singers.
Zenny also said Partey was better than Rodri.
What else is he going to say? Yeah, I'll play with this guy and he's really shit.
Yeah, he can't say that. Can he? Sure. Utah 14-3 up at this point, But yeah, Rule Walters, Stan. I believe we've got 2 spots in the squad to finalize this thing. I don't think we're going to get 2 tomorrow. We might get 1 in, and we're all hoping for a player to come in. But Rule Walters could be that other player for me.
I don't know much about this kid, and I have noticed that it does seem an age, right, since Arsenal had a kid from the academy that played in a defensive position. The last one I can remember, is probably Ashley Cole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we got Gibbs. I thought it was Gibbs, right? But something reminded me we got Gibbs.
Does Fabregas count?
Not a defender.
Okay,
we got Gibbs.
defender, you're right.
We got Gibbs from West Bromwich Albion. So it's got to be Ashley Cole. And I've been thinking, now, what's happening to all of these kids that are playing in defence? Are they that bad? No central defenders, no fullbacks. So it's about time coming that we can produce one from from our academy.
Time to look at the academy, exactly, says Spencer. Tiger and Gooner, you got him right there, Stan. Working while listening. Big up to yourself, Tiger and Gooner. Thanks for being here.
Well, it's a Friday there for him, right? So he's just easing into his weekend, right?
The weekend is coming.
It's almost there for him.
Hopefully we can kick it off with some banter here as well. Headsets on, for sure. So yeah. I'd like us to go for a defender. I'm going to put Mark Gahey forward as a player from Crystal Palace, a defender.
Yeah, but I think isn't that only going to happen should the worst happen, i.e. Megalegs gets on a plane to the desert? That's what I thought.
This is in addition to
But then that wouldn't leave Crystal Palace no time to get the money and get a replacement.
I don't really care about Crystal Palace.
I don't, but I mean, you got to think that if they haven't got time to replace this player, and I don't know what their squad's like. I don't know if there's somebody that's understudying or coming up.
There's got to be more players coming from there.
If they've got slow transfer people, it ain't leaving them a lot of time to get something done. So I don't know whether that affects it.
Yeah, there has been speculation. There's been speculation. I was checking on this earlier. Speculation from Chelsea. Speculation Man United might go and get Gahey as well. But I think I heard somewhere he's interested. Arsenal would be his preferred destination, Stan.
But the most scary thing about tomorrow is like there's two things that could happen tomorrow. And from what I'm seeing, there's an outside possibility that Megalegs could be gone, depending on who you read, But also as well, Emil Smith Rowe. There's a lot of talk that he's, going somewhere. Which, again, I mean, is this a case of when you spend 200 million, you have to bring money in? It's not free money. It's not, there you go, there's a 200 million, off you go. They want a portion of that back. Do you know what I mean? So it's you're getting 200 million to strengthen your squad, but then you get rid of a player like ESR, which to me is weakening us. And depending on who we sell him to, especially if he's getting sold within the Premier League, it could be strengthening a direct rival. But the guy's made out of paper mache. He's injured for a hell of a lot. I can't remember. I remember seeing how many days he'd been injured for Arsenal and it was like over a season or some shit like that he hasn't been available.
More than Zinchenko.
So that plays into it. And it was only, do you remember, like a season ago or 2 seasons ago, when Aston Villa were playing around with a cheeky bid for 35 million. So if a bid is going to come in for Emil Smith Rowe, I'd be interested to see whether that valuation has increased since that last time a club was sniffing around, or whether it's devalued. But it's a surprise.
Yeah. Where do you value Emil Smith Rowe?
I really like the player. And again, he's one of our own. Yeah, he's a young lad that's come through and managed to make it. And when he plays in an Arsenal shirt, he doesn't look like he's out of place. He looks like that he can make a contribution. But as I mentioned, the injuries probably hasn't done him a lot of good. And maybe if you're a manager, you could be thinking to yourself, well, can I really rely on this guy? If the chips are down and I need to recall on this guy, if he's on the treatment table, can I go forward with that? And then you've got the added weight on your mind. Well, the club's just I've just spent over 200 million. I need to put something back into the kitty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors, isn't there? But I do think that The worst thing that could have ever happened to Emil Smith Rowe was getting that bloody cursed number 10 shirt. That number 10 shirt at Arsenal is cursed, and it all started. See, the police are coming for it as well.
All started with William Gallas.
All started with William Gallas. That's where the curse began.
The curse
That's
of
where
Gallas.
the curse of the number 10 shirt began, man.
Yeah. Spencer said, "I hope
you should just get the number 10 shirt and burn it."
Jeez. That's rough. That's rough. I like Emil Smith Rowe. He's one of my favorite players, but his injury record has been harsh, been tough on him. I hope he can come back to where he was before, and maybe the club knows something about his injury record, but I'd hate to see him go, and I don't think it's going to happen this window.
Don't you?
I don't think so. Spencer said, "I hope all the people lost their stuff over Emil Smith Rowe. Hope they had their Fitbits on and tracked those calories they burn getting worked up." Tiger and Gooners not far away from the sweet taste of some beer. Nice, cold, frothy beer.
The best feeling is walking out of the office on a Friday on a nice, warm, sunny day, and you know you got like time in front of you, right? You know what I mean? That's a great feeling.
63 hours, Dan.
Yeah.
63 hours from 5 o'clock on a Friday to, let's say,
on a Friday, 5 o'clock. Bloody hell, you're putting the hours in. I'm out by 3, mate.
Well, tomorrow it's going to be a holiday. Maybe I can get a little bit early.
Poet's lunch. Remember that?
Maybe I am putting in the hours. Maybe I can get out a little bit early. Spencer said that's the problem with buying at the end of the window. The selling club has to find the replacement.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would think, though, with the speculation around Crystal Palace, if I'm mentioning Mark Gahey, that they would have some kind of a plan, in place. I said this to a buddy today. Emil Smith Rowe and Tierney's injury record sealed their fate. If Emil Smith Rowe leaves, availability is important as ability. So, yeah, we said this before. The best ability is to be available each and every week, Stan.
You could also say maybe a little bit of that goes into the pro column if you're writing a pro and cons for Kieran Tierney as well.
Yeah.
If you want to looking for something to put in that pro column, again, the availability.
I hope Kieran Tierney can have a very good season on loan at Real Sociedad. And who knows, our paths may cross. Who knows? Give it to Ødegaard next season. Give it to Ødegaard. What will we give to Ødegaard next season? The captaincy or
the number 10 shirt?
The number 10 shirt. Okay.
I don't know. He'd probably get struck by a bolt of lightning on his first game.
Yeah.
I mean? Even though it's a bright sunny day, it's one bolt comes out, gets mine.
Do you want him to wear the number 10 that William Gallas wore, BX?
I'd like him to wear the number 10 shirt. He's the right. My OCD with numbers. That's the position. He's the guy. If you're going to give it to anyone, that's the geezer.
Tiger and Gooner, thinking about that beer. We kept Diaby for many years, and I recall that he was injured more than he played for Arsenal. Arsene Wenger was very, very kept a lot of faith with Abu Diaby.
Yeah, every time at the end of the season, Wenger would go off to some wild place, some place like Africa where he's heard of a miracle cure. To see, you know what I mean? See if we can find it. Next season, he'd be off to somewhere like the Himalayas, top of a mountain somewhere where he's heard there may be a cure for Diaby. That's what he spent all his close seasons, going on expeditions.
Yeah. I still remember a performance Diaby had up at Anfield. It was one of the best performances I've ever seen in an Arsenal shirt. Only rival. Go ahead.
I was just saying, the thing is with Diaby, though, when he got injured, his injuries were always for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It weren't like he'd get injured, come back, play, then another injury, like Bitty, like Tierney and ESR. Yeah. His injuries for a long period of time. And do you remember one time where he'd been out for a long, long time, maybe a season, and then he came back and he got injured in the game he came back in.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. Tough to see a player with a lot of potential, a lot of talent, a lot of natural talent, not be able to sustain by not being able to be fit enough to play. Remember him playing in Anfield, only rivaled by little Andre Arshavin when he scored 4 goals at Anfield as well. two of the big Anfield performances for me. Cazorla played well against City over 10 years ago. Stan trying teleworking tomorrow and a 59-minute early release. There you
It's
go.
not teleworking. We call it business development now.
Best to do business early, says Stefan. If the Abbey and Eduardo had been fit, we'd have won the title. There you go. In 08. It's a decent shout. Especially, I remember that day, Stan, was the 23rd of February when Eduardo got snapped. His ankle.
I can't remember the day, but I can remember where he was in the pitch and everything, his position and everything. It was just like...
Yeah, horrible. Those days, I think the officials kind of allowed teams to get up Arsenal. You know what I mean? It was like, get up Arsenal, give them some physicality, and you get them off their game.
It felt like there were times when the opposition would be running around hitting us wearing like brass knucks, and the referee would be like, "Nah, that's all right.
It's all right." Big Dan Smith up in Sunderland as well. I think that was the Abbey. It was the end of the Abbey's career, if I'm not mistaken. So we had the Abbey up in Sunderland. We had Eduardo in Birmingham, you know.
Aaron Ramsey had a nasty one and all, didn't he?
Ramsdale at Stoke. Yeah. Yeah. We get some we've got some injury scars here, referring to players. Okay, so yeah, Mark Gahey, I think that's one player that could come in. You're sort of, you can't see Rob Holding here tomorrow, can you, Stan?
Well, there was who was it? That was a team that was looking at him. That it looked like he was going to go to, but then now the team have turned their attentions to another player. I can't remember what it was. I was reading it on the bus home or something like that, and I was like, oh.
There was a team, I think, in Spain. There was a team maybe in Turkey.
I think it was a team in Spain, you know.
Luton Town ran the rule over him as well. I just feel like he's going to go tomorrow. You can't have Rob Holding at the club.
I think it's best for everybody if he could find a place where he could, you know, play week in and week out. You know, and he can do a job for a number of teams. I mean, he's better than Harry Maguire. He just doesn't fit with what we do at Arsenal. But because it doesn't fit with what we do at Arsenal, it doesn't make him a bad player.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Agreed.
You know?
Agreed.
But just talking about transfers, because I will forget this, it just pops into my head. Did you see about Ansu Fati going to Brighton?
Yes.
What?
In the Europa League. He's going to light up in the Europa League.
I think it's a loan deal with an option to buy, and they're paying him something like 160 grand a week, which is like 3 times more than their highest paid player at the moment.
Yep.
And I mean, it was funny, right? Because, you know, I was reading only up until quite recently that Arsenal was sniffing around Ansu Fati, but the story I was reading is that, you know, he didn't want to leave, and Barcelona were trying to convince him, no, look, it's best for you to go out on loan or be sold because you're not going to get the minutes here. And somehow it sounds like he's going to Brighton, right? I don't know if that's happened or I don't know if it's signed and sealed, because it was only a couple of weeks ago they were talking about Alexis Sanchez going to Nottingham Forest, and that never transpired. So you never know.
Yeah, well,
you never know the games that agents are playing to get people interested or whatever.
Nuno Tavares last week was going to go to Nottingham Forest for 30 as an absolute steal for us. You know, we should have rushed through the paperwork right there and then for Nuno, make a tidy profit on him, but didn't happen. BX said someone is trying to hijack that Fati deal.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I can't remember who it was or what they said, because I don't think it's actually gone through yet.
Yep. Close to going to Brighton.
Says, yeah. That'd be I mean, it just shows you what's happening in the Premier League, isn't it? Some of, you know, the teams that have been able to capture some names. I mean, a season ago, right, that Schumacher that everybody was talking about and people wanted at Arsenal, he went to West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Lodi, who was a left back here, who was a player that I really liked. I thought, yes, I like that Lodi. Went to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Tonali, who was another player that I really covered. He's gone to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Isak, Newcastle. Bruno Gummy Bears, Newcastle. It's crazy.
Joe Felix looks like he may come back to the Premier League, says BX Gunner as well. Joe
Really?
Felix.
I thought he was going to Barcelona. I was reading that.
There's a lot.
But again, you read all these things, and it's just they've got to churn it all out. Who knows what's fucking real or not? Do you know what I mean?
Better
just
not
don't know.
mention. We won't mention the in and outs, will we? Better than Slabby Maguire. Outrageous comment.
Speaking of Slabby Maguire, I'm flabbergasted that he's got an England call up.
Yes. So we're gonna go to Eddie as well, but this brings in Gareth Southgate and the people he's choosing.
Yeah.
Is this a friendly? Or is it a qualification game?
I don't know, but I do remember hearing someone say that they've only got 4 England camps left before he has to pick his squad for the next competition. So I don't know if this counts as one of those camps or whether this is the friendly. Then there's 4 camps. But I do think that some of his selections, let's talk about Eddie as well, because this plays into it for me.
Yep.
I feel really pleased for the lad that he's finally got a call up for England. But there's a part of me that thinks that Southgate's done it as a bit of a red herring, because he's left out Sterling, who's playing really well. And he's also said things like, he's only going to pick people that are, playing good in form. Yet he's picked someone like Harry Maguire, who hasn't kicked a ball yet this season, and it's way down the pecking order at Manchester United. He's lost the captaincy, and he's picked a player in Henderson, who's now gone out to the desert to play his football. I'm not saying that maybe his Premier League skills have packed up right now, but what's the point in continuing with him if he's going to be playing in that league and it's of a different quality? Plus, he's not like he's a player either that's 23 or 24 who could be a really great player. It doesn't matter what league they play in, they still turn it on. He's coming to the end of it. So that for me, that's a really bad pick as well. But picking
and he's not going to be available.
So
will he be available for the next competition, Stan? 18 months from now?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. So he's picking Eddie Nketiah for me, like a red herring to take you away from those choices. So you focus on, he's giving Eddie Nketiah a chance, and I'm really pleased for Eddie. But he did this with Ivan Toney. He picked Ivan Toney, and how many minutes did Ivan Toney get over those 2 games?
None. Right?
None. So I'm going to be interested to see whether Eddie Nketiah actually does get minutes. If he does get minutes, then fair play.
And let me know, people. I'm not sure about this, if it is a friendly or if it's an actual qualification game.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
Important to know if it's a Nations League. To me, is basically a friendly as well. They're trying to make it seem like there is a trophy at the end of the day, but it's like Conference League in international standards. A couple other things. I think Harry Maguire, he's not played for Man United. Why get picked if you're not playing for Man United? As you said, Jordan Henderson, will he be around for the next tournament? What's the point in bringing him in and
makes no sense? Blood someone now, isn't it?
Yeah, blood them now, exactly. As Chris said, I hate the Maguire hate. He's good for England. I mean, he's good for England, and we don't hate him. I only hate him when he's in a Man United shirt. Can I just say that? If he lines out against us. And we'll talk about the Man United lineup. They've got some injuries.
Lewis Dunk got a call up as well, didn't he? At last.
Who's that?
Lewis Dunk at last got a call up.
Lewis Dunk has been around the block, has been in that Brighton side for years, and he's been the cornerstone of everything they've built. If they're going to build a team around the player, they've built the team around Lewis Dunk. He's been a leader for them for years. When we were bad 3 or 4 years ago, they were popping up at the Emirates and winning. And they did it last Easter as well. BX said Balogun would have had a call-up had he stayed in England, and he would have played for Arsenal, but he's gone. I don't know, he went for that World Cup that's coming up in 2026. BX, so declared for the US, and probably has an easier path, right?
As I've said many times, To me, Florian Balogun has taken the path of least resistance. That's what it is. And I got that phrase from Glenn from New York. I heard him say it. And I was like, he's damn right about that. That's what I feel.
He's like water. Took the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's some merit. I mean, he did it. He did it because the competition's not there. It's also prestigious having a World Cup at home if you're a US player as well. WTF is that England call up about perhaps he wants to keep continuity, but even the United States take the piss out of Slabby. The United States, okay, take the piss out of Slabby. Yeah, I mean, we had a player like that. We had a Mustafi. We had
I think it must be a friendly because he's left out Raheem Sterling. And he said something like, well, you know, I know that Raheem Sterling's going to have a good season, so, you know, he's still part of our plans.
I think Raheem, he scored 2 goals in the last game against Luton Town. But he's getting old as well, Stan, isn't he? Getting on in years, Raheem?
Yeah, I think he's still got enough for another tournament, though.
Spencer.
Experience, right? He likes that as well, doesn't he, Southgate?
Mm-hmm. This Ben White thing. This Ben White thing is rumbling on from the last tournament. Wasn't selected. And you know what? Something happened in that tournament that we're not quite sure about. If anyone, we can only put forward theories about what happened with Ben White. As an Arsenal fan, I'm not that bothered because he can, when a player is not going on international duty, they can dedicate their career, dedicate their time to their club team and maintain focus. Ben White will need to maintain focus as well because we are conceding goals, especially at home. And we want all of our defenders now to put an extra effort together on Sunday and not, if we're going to concede, not concede more than 1 goal. Because playing at home in the last few fixtures, we've been conceding sometimes more than 1 goal. And it's going against us. When you concede 2 goals, you have to score 3 to win. And that's a lot to ask our forward players to be able to do. Not insurmountable. The previous fixture last year, Eddie and Nketiah scored 2. We won 3-2 against Man United. Spencer said Ben White wasn't selected, but not surprised. Twitter acted surprised. White, Southgate, Reina, and Berhalter. Drama. There's something going on in the background, obviously, between Ben White and Derek.
Well, Gareth. I think Ben White. I think he gives this attitude that football is his job, right? That's his job. He's not like football.
Yeah, he's like 5 o'clock on a Friday. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm done. So, and he gets paid by Arsenal, and he gets not nicely paid for his job. So for him, having to go to a tournament in the summer, to him, it's probably fucking about his holiday plans. Probably wants to go on holiday, lie on a beach with his missus. It's like your company saying, we're sending you away on a conference during your holiday period. You're like, what?
Yeah.
We're not paying you any extra, but you got to go. So
you got to work 40 hours, and then on Saturday you're on a plane.
And I think for him going around international duty is like working on a Saturday. He's like, you must be joking. So I don't think he's that bothered.
No, and he does like a tan, doesn't he, Stan? He likes his tan.
On the beach, get a tan. If that's his deal, then that's fair play. At least he comes back refreshed.
Yeah, BX said Eddie will play, so it would be crazy not to. Eddie scored 2 goals out of the first 3 games,
but he didn't play Ivan Toney, a player who is playing regularly. And you thought, okay, let's have a look what he can do in an England shirt. Didn't get a sniff.
Yeah,
didn't get a sniff, and he's playing, for Brentford week in week out. Didn't get a sniff.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see if Eddie gets 80 minutes.
Yeah, we're Harry Kane.
1 game or 2 games? Is it 2 games or 1? I don't know.
Yeah, and let me know in the chat if Harry Kane got a call up. Of course he got a call up, right? If Harry Kane's there, Eddie Nketiah is not getting a sniff, right? Harry Kane's the guy who wants to ride his bike.
He probably Gav Southgate. He probably rung up Munich to speak to like Harry Kane, and he's like, Harry, do you want to play the next England game? And Harry's like, 9. And he's like, what? Sorry, I mean no.
I mean, no. He get booed for his Man United form. It's really strange, says Chris Nick. That's about Harry Maguire. Rashford, Eddie, Saka, front line for England. It's all right. Dunk is decent, says Stefan. Sterling is still dangerous and in his prime. Here we go, Spencer. International break equals chance for club players to get hurt. Yeah, that's how we feel about it.
AFCON. Soon as Thomas Partey gets off the airplane, he's going to get kicked by an elephant, trampled by giraffes, and then a pack of hyenas will come running out to finish him off. And he's not even got to the ground yet.
The big one we're going to be worried about is the one in April. You know, that spring international break where Arsenal seemed to go downhill in the last 2 seasons after that international break in April. That's the one I'm worried about. Berhalter has no chance but to select Reina, but Southgate could just not select White. He's got options at right back. So I'm not fussed too much. United.
I reckon Ben White's got their phone number blocked as well on his phone as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't even want to speak to him. The number you were trying to reach is not recognised. Ben White's like that. Off to Ibiza. Love it.
He's playing that ad that Southgate had for a pizza. Wasn't he doing? Wasn't it like he was advertising pizza after he missed that penalty when he was a player?
Should be ashamed of himself.
He had a bag over his head. Southgate
should be ashamed of himself. All them 3 of them that done that to them like making money off of that loss, man. They should be ashamed of themselves. I would have done it though, but they should be ashamed of themselves.
The money must have been right, Stan. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
United are susceptible as conceding. I expect an Arsenal win. Yeah, Stefan.
Plus, you get like a card to eat free at Pizza Hut for the rest of your life, which is not
bad. Okay. Stan just get the best Ben White explanation ever. Clip it. Make it a short.
I don't know how you do that, but feel free. I don't know how you do clips and shit.
Clip it and put it on Twitter. Your best Ben White explanation ever. I'm knocking off. I've got my card. I'm going to punch my card. I'm out of here. There you go. I think Ben White probably does watch Love Island.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like that. I bet he even votes. He votes people off.
I bet he's like, oh, she's fit.
Gets right into it.
He's probably like, she's fit. Good old Benny Blanco. Yeah, he is a character, isn't he? Ben Blanco.
Yeah.
You know?
I like his forthright honesty about stuff. He's just, I like it.
His forthright shithousery. Stick a leg out here, pull a shirt there. You're not going to run past me in midfield. And
that's and that is the problem, I think, of one of the fundamental problems that is happening with our team in the first 3 games, and it's the deployment of Partey at right back, because we're missing that overlap big time that Ben White does, and that really helps Saka out. And and I'm not blaming Thomas Partey, but them legs, they can't do that for him anymore. Them legs can't carry him on an overlap as frequently as you can with a Ben White, which then gives you options. But I mean, if he gets the ball back, he's quite good at crossing it in, Ben White. Or you now can do the overlap, drag people out of space, and you've got Odegaard, and you've got Saka, and you've got Ben White, and you've outnumbered them. But what's happening now is, right, because Partey can't make that overlap run, now Saka and Odegaard, they're the ones that are outnumbered by an extra player. Do you see what I mean? And they're boxed out. Ben White gives a lot of outlet on that side because of those overlapping runs, really does that. And Partey just can't do it. And that, for me, is the biggest thing that's hurting us. That's more than leaving out Megalegs for me. Mm-hmm. Megalegs comes next. That's the next problem, and which is baffling. And then also the problem is as well, Martinelli hasn't looked himself. And that's not because he's not in form or in shape or tired. He's lost every partnership he had on the pitch. He's lost a partnership with the guy behind him, Zinchenko, they worked very well together. He's also lost Xhaka right next to him. That's another partnership that's gone. And then when he's doing his rotating with Gabriel Jesus, he hasn't got that either.
Yeah.
So you've got a player now that's lost all of his combinations and partnerships, and he looks like a player that's wanting. And it could come across that he's lacking.
Yeah.
So there's lots of places on the pitch where this formation has hurt us. I've just identified how it hurts us on the right, where we now get overloaded because Partey can't get up there, and it's also hurting us on the left because the partnerships due to injuries or what have you.
I'm gonna go to Saka's where he lost the ball in the first minute last weekend by Bukayo Saka. Look, it's basically Bukayo Saka's fault. It's his mistake. He passed the ball without really looking taking any care of where he's going to look at it. But what happened is because of Gabriel Magalhaes not being on the field, Saliba all the way over there in Gabriel Magalhaes' position, and Ben White, Partey inverting into midfield. Ben White, he didn't know what he was going to be, a center back or a right back, so he comes into a right back position. Saka plays the ball, and there's an ocean between Saliba and White.
And this is where we come to the first part in this podcast where I played my first devil's advocate card. Because when Saka, faces backwards and makes that pass into like the abyss, I'm sure he expected to see the right-sided centre back there, whoever that was supposed to be, and there was nobody there. Yeah. It was just like a gulf of space, and I'm sure that he was expecting that there was going to be somebody there to receive the ball.
Yeah,
and maybe that's because they haven't quite understood their positioning yet.
Yeah, because of Gabriel Magalhaes not playing. Saliba is supposed to be on the right, has to deputise on the left.
Yeah, but Magalhaes isn't playing, and the manager has told us this for tactical reasons.
Yes, I know.
So then does this mean that the tactics are wrong? That's what I'm getting at here.
I don't believe it's tactical reasons. I believe he's saying it's tactical reasons because the player really maybe wants to go. There's a lot of money on the table being offered to him. He's got to be getting some feedback, some news from Saudi Arabia.
But then
there's a lot of money.
If that is the case, then Mikel is going against another one of his doctrines, which is that, he said when he very first came to the club, that we shouldn't be, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, that we shouldn't beg players to want to either come to Arsenal or to stay.
I'm not going to beg a player to stay.
So if Magalhaes wants to go somewhere else, I'm afraid to say, I don't want players at the club personally who would feel that they're being held hostage. If that's the case, I'm not saying that that's what's going on, but should that be the case, as sad as I would be, then if not, if everybody's happy, if Mikel Arteta is like, the player's not going anywhere, and the player's like, I don't want to go anywhere, then why hasn't he been playing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? Then play the guy.
Yeah.
But we've been told it's tactics. That's what we've been told. So that's what we have to go on.
He didn't start. He hasn't started him in all 3 games, but he did play him as a sub.
He's thrown him on when he's needed him.
Yep.
So what does that mean?
It means that he needs him to shore up games. And when we had a situation where we were 2-1 up in the 84th minute, Eddie Nketiah forces a second yellow from that player, the Fulham player getting sent off. Mikel Arteta had the option of bringing on either Jorginho or Gabriel Magalhaes to lock down that game. And he chose Jorginho to do that, So hindsight's 2020. Hindsight's, a wonderful thing. And if we'd have put Gabriel Magalhaes on, maybe Bukayo Saka's not the one defending that corner in the last few minutes.
Yeah, there's that to be said.
And it's all due to the Saudi Arabia effect, in my opinion. It's got Gabriel Magalhaes' head turned, and now we've got Saliba playing out of position, really. We got Ben White when Partey drifts in the midfield. Ben White doesn't know if he's going to act as a fullback or as a right central defender, and he takes a fullback position. Bukayo Saka passing the ball into space rather than a person. the sort of muscle memory. Whoa, I didn't know yous were on. So Moss has joined us with listening
Hi,
to
Moss.
you, Moss, a little bit earlier. Good stuff. Check out Across the Pond
Yeah,
Sports Talk
check
as
them
well.
out.
Stefan, thanks for being with us, having a little bit of bants. 2:52 must turn in. Take care, everyone. And
Yeah,
I hope
take care,
you
Stefan. Have a good weekend, mate.
enjoy the weekend. Busy dreaming of Champions League again, exactly, and readying himself for NFL drafts and college football. But yeah, Champions League is more important.
And the Copa Libertadores as well. Yeah, fair play. He takes in
And
a lot of sport, doesn't he, old Moss? Doesn't he?
yeah,
He takes in a lot of the sporting content. Fair
yeah,
play.
we do a lot of stuff. BX, you got to give Moss the heads up sooner. Florida and Graham Mertz. There we go. It's another. It's got to be a Gators reference there, Stan. Who knows? So fire in the questions. Now's the time. Don't let Stan pull one of those cards on me. Back to basics, like say Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Oz. Who's Oz? TP5, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Eddie. It's got to be Zinchenko, right? Who's OZ?
Zinchenko, maybe.
Alexander Zinchenko.
Yeah.
Moss will put
There
it
you
in the
go.
WhatsApp. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Stan, Eddie Nketiah, the call up. I mean, he's been recognized for what he's done for Arsenal. 2 goals out of 3. Probably could have scored a third goal. He could be sitting here today 3-3, and going into Manchester United on Sunday. He's got to be feeling good about himself, Eddie.
Yeah, it should be. It's his first England cap. He should be walking on air, and that should be able to help him, continue doing good stuff on the pitch. He's not good. He's not just trying to impress one manager now. He's now trying to impress 2 managers with Arteta and Senior Southgate.
Yeah.
Well, I should have said Senior Arteta and Mr. Southgate.
Maybe Senior Arteta can get a little bit of an assist there with that call up. Maybe Eddie should give him his cap for his trophy room, Mikel Arteta.
But then again, though, I mean, we saw Gabriel Jesus entered into the last match. What does that mean? Does that mean that he's going to be on the bench, or is he going to start? Personally, I would continue to stay with the guy that's been doing it for you, and it's up to Eddie to keep his place and for Gabriel Jesus to work his way back in. I wouldn't just do an automatic switch.
I agree with you. I mean, Gabriel Jesus only came on for about 5 or 6 minutes in this game, and I think it was like the last throw of the dice trying to get a win in the injury time. Eddie Nketiah has got more fitness, more match fitness, been scoring goals, and he's the clear choice over Gabriel Jesus at this point in time, at least for this game. I mean, if Gabriel Jesus gets 30, 35 minutes, then maybe the next game we're talking about Gabriel Jesus starting.
Yeah, you could be right.
So for me, I've got Eddie down here, and I've got my team picked here for Sunday.
Okay.
So we'll go through the team in a little bit. Do you think that we'll get any more signings before the deadline? I actually think there's something going to happen. Something has to happen. I know, Stan, you were talking about Rob Holding and Cedric as if they were still going to be playing this season. They're still here, but I don't see them playing.
You see, when we get to the podcast, which will probably be on Sunday, I'm sure you're going to ask me and the rest of the panel that will be with us what our ratings are for the transfer window, as all good podcasts usually do. My
I better write it down now.
My score is going to be also dependent on what goes out, because for me that plays a big part. And when I say what goes out, sending a player, only managing to send a player like Tavares and Lokonga, and I'll use those as an example, or even more so, of Rob Holding on loan. All you're doing for me is you're just kicking the problem down the road like a can for a little bit longer, because they're going to end up coming back to the club, and then you get back into the same situation. Now, I understand that you have to have clubs that are willing to buy, But I've seen some deals go down, players being sold that haven't done as much as Balogun. And there was another one that got sold today for 5 million more. And I was like, really? That guy didn't do as much as as what our guy did. So, we have to really do better at selling. Loans is not the answer for me. If that's all you can do, so be it. But then you have to maybe look at yourselves and say, well, why are other teams able to do it and we're not? Because, as I say, you're just kicking the can down the road and it's back again at the next season. And then you're like, oh, yeah, those guys
does seem to be an Achilles heel of ours, a recurring issue. Either we can't move players on, we have to send them out on loan, or we don't get enough money. We're looking at that Balogun deal and we don't know, okay, there's, I think, a 1/6 clause in there. We get 1/6 of any further transfer fee will come to us.
I thought it was 17%.
Yeah, 17.5. So it's approximately a sixth of.
Are you working fractions? I see.
Yeah, working fractions. It is exactly around the same point, same thing, 17.5, I think. Pepe Lokonga holding Cedric Tavares. BX, I agree with you. They all have to go. Spencer, wouldn't we have Twitter leaks if we were to get another player? We got Fabio Vieira. Nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
We got Thomas Partey. Nobody knew about it until the last day of the window.
Yep, there's been a couple that we've managed to get in without Signor Romano and his gang finding out anything.
Yeah. So there has been a few. Nobody knew about Kivior really in January. We went and did that. Another one I can throw at you.
Teabag, wasn't it?
Tomiyasu. That happened as well.
Yes. Yeah. Tomiyasu as well. Yeah, that was.
There's been quite a few. We do move in silence sometimes.
Stealth mode.
Huh?
Stealth mode.
Stealth mode. Yeah, Arsenal move in silence. Well said, Stan. Says Tiger and Gunnar. Yeah, I think 17.5. And what is it? He hits it big and sell for like 80 million someday. A good bit of cash. So Moss, and Stan, we're kind of protecting our investment. If he bangs and we start to regret it, we're comforted by a little bit of money coming our way, and we can say, well,
big percentage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big percentage. So
on FIFA, the highest clause I've ever given another club was like 3%.
You're stingy.
Like 3% to get out of my office.
3%, and you have to work till 5:00.
Yeah.
Before you can get any beer on a Friday.
And you got to go on international duty because Ben White don't want to go.
You got to fly out on a Saturday morning too for conference. Don't work for Stan, people. Don't work for Stan.
No.
I think maybe we can sell our loan to buy holding. Maybe Pep. I doubt dead set. Dead Cedric or Pepe. Who knows? But maybe we can buy one or bring a loan or two in the last day. I think we're so light at the back. We have to think. We have to think that something's coming in, Stan. I gotta believe. Let me believe.
I think something could come in. You never know.
Is that a big bag you got?
It's a massive bag. Deals go up. Sometimes deals go right up to the last minute. I mean, Mesut Ozil. That was just before it shut, wasn't it?
Mesut Ozil, yeah. 10 years ago.
Yeah. Can happen, so.
To the day. Okay, so I think Eddie Nketiah is going to start. Martinelli. Saka's going to play. Do you think we're going to go with Martinelli, right? He's going to pick Martinelli, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's trying to learn these new partnerships. What's the point of taking him out?
Yeah.
How will he build partnerships? How's he going to build partnerships with people if he's not playing?
You mentioned that as well. We were a few years ago, 2 seasons back, we were pretty light in that left back position as well. Granit Xhaka gave a little bit of stability to him last season, helped him a little bit.
And if Zinchenko is back, that will also help him. Because they know each other.
The midfield for me has got to be Take Thomas Partey out of that right back position. Put him at the base of midfield.
Yeah, if he really wants to get Thomas Partey and Declan Rice into the same squad, then that's the way you go.
No speed bumps around you.
No, but I'm not sure about if Mikel Arteta sees it that way. He's got this player that he bought for 65 million and had to get the club to sanction. I think it's 280,000. The wage I've now read, it fluctuates, right? But it's a lot of money, so that has to come good. That has to come good. I'm convinced that he's going to continue with Kai Havertz.
I'm going to go crazy if Havertz is playing midfield, Stan.
I'm convinced he's going to continue with that.
You might see me go crazy on Sunday if that happens. If Havertz starts, other than playing the centre forward position, if Havertz starts in midfield, I'm not going to be happy. It's got to be Partey at the base, Rice in the left 8, and Ødegaard right 8.
Yeah, but you didn't spend all of that money on Havertz just to have him in the cupboard.
He's played 3 games.
It's like when you spend all that money on a vintage Ferrari, but you never drive it. You just have tarpaulin over it and it's sat in the garage. And you just go in and look at it every now and again. But you don't drive it.
You drive it in the sun.
We can't afford to do that. If we're spending that kind of money on a player, they have to play their part. You know? Because I just think if you're the owner of the club, right? And it's different for Pochettino at Chelsea because there's a lot of players that he can leave out. And if the owners turn around and go, we paid 88 million for Mudryk, why aren't you playing him? He could say, he wasn't a player that I asked you to get. He doesn't fit into my system. And Mikel Arteta similarly could get away and do that with a player like Nicola Pepe. He's a club record signing, not my club record signing, but he can't do that with Kai Havertz. He went to the owners and got them to release those funds for that player and to sign off on his contract. He has to make it work. He's here for 5 years, mate. If this proves to be a pup, if he proves to be a pup and they've got it wrong, where's he going?
What's the point? What's the point in building a squad, Stan? What's the point in building a squad if we cannot rotate? And if we see Havertz has not been doing so well in 3 games, why would we persist with him?
But maybe Mikel hasn't in his mind, doesn't think that he has done bad in 3 games, because you look at the stats and, as I say, he's covering the most grass, he's covering the most distance, his pass completions, his duels, all these kind of stats look good in his favour. Okay. So you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, what are the kind of stats you rate goalkeepers on, Stan?
Well, saving.
Saves,
basically.
Clean sheets and saving, right?
Yeah, clean sheets.
If you have an attacking player, what are the stats you would rate your attacking player on?
Well,
scoring.
If you're going to measure him against a player that played in the position previous to him, that player ended the season on 7 goals. Mm-hmm. On that basis, only 3 games into the season, Kai Havertz has a lot of time to either get 7 goals or surpass that. It's only 3 games in.
This time last year, Granit Xhaka had already scored.
Yeah, but that's an average over 38 games, right? Do you know what I'm getting at? If I'm playing a second card here, and I am. I'm playing that second card.
You pulled out 2 cards at once right there.
But what I'm trying to say is, right, I am playing devil's advocate. If the stats are saying that he's doing all of these good things, covering a lot of ground, completing passes, taking on duels, winning his duels, or whatever it might be, right, then why would you leave him out? You'd think to yourself, well, the goals and the assists will come. He's only got to beat 7.
What's our best?
He's only got to beat 7 for the guy that was doing it before.
Yeah, I get you. What's our best midfield?
To me?
Yes.
One that doesn't involve him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and it's only been 3 games, but when we do these podcasts, I try and think of it. Let's pretend that the season finished at the end of the last game. You see what I'm getting at? So if the season has finished now, right now, was only 3 games long, I'd be like, this is not happening. It's not working. And to me, it seems that he kind of looks is a bit of a bottleneck in the team. When it gets to his area, it kind of there seems to be like a bottleneck of the way that we play. If that makes any sense. However, it's not the end of the season. There's another 37, 35, 6 games to go, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And things can change. And like me and you've said, right, 10 games was our snapshot. We said that we would be able to run the rule and give a fair assessment after 10 games in the team. And he's got another 7 to go.
Yeah, I agree. Spencer's saying Havertz starts and we win, ? If he starts, I don't think we're going to win the game, Spencer. And look, maybe I'm saying I don't want to be critical of Havertz, but the things I'm saying means I'm being critical of Havertz.
Can I also say I would like to see Havertz's game with Gabriel Jesus in the side. I'd like to see how they work together. I'd like to see whether he will play a bit like a second striker with knockdowns and Jesus coming in to finish. But we've not had an opportunity to see those two together, so I would like to see how that works.
Mm-hmm. Spencer goes on to say Havertz set up chances in the Crystal Palace game for Martinelli and Nketiah. Goes on to say Rice hasn't scored either. They play slightly different roles in the team, albeit they will have chances. I still expect Havertz to have more goals than Declan Rice this season. Is Rice a failure? No goals?
You'd think, but I do also see Declan Rice scoring goals because he does get himself into positions. I mean, there's a position that Thomas Partey scores a lot from, which is if you're looking at the opposition's penalty box, it's kind of like to the right of the D that comes from the penalty box. He pops up there with a pass to him and he just wellies the ball, and he scored a couple of times or a few times from that area. I've noticed how we've been playing since this season started. Rice is popping up in that same position.
Yeah. I remember Partey had identical goals. The one against Tottenham, the curler from outside the box did the exact same thing.
To the right of the D. Slightly to the right of the D, right?
And you know what, Stan? I still remember that shot. Remember he wellied it off his shin against Tottenham and it hit the upright. And the Tottenham upright is still shaking from that shot. Spencer goes on to say Havertz is not the reason we dropped points on Saturday, but he gets the most grief. I think he slowed up our play a lot. I think our forward play was hindered by Havertz just not knowing his role yet. And I think that's
here's a question then, right?
Nothing more than him not knowing his role yet, Stan.
Yeah, shut your mouth and know your role, as the Rock would say. But let me ask you this question, right? Would you rather stick with the team that we have, including with Kai Havertz, or if you had an opportunity, and I'll ask this to everybody, would you rather have the 65 million right now to be spending on something else before the window shuts?
Yeah.
That's the question, right? Would you rather? Okay, let me phrase it another way then. Would you rather keep Emil Smith Rowe? And this is on the caveat that he's about to be sold, and we didn't buy Kai Havertz, and we had access to a further 65 million to do another deal in another area. Would you rather that, or would you rather say no? I'm glad that we spent that 65 million on the Havertz. That was a good investment. I'm looking forward to this. That's your options. And what would you choose right now?
You're basing this on the possibility we don't have money to spend.
Just right now. Would you rather have that extra 65 to spend? Yeah. I would right now.
Give it back to me. Yeah, I'd give it back to me. Give me that 65 back. I can go and get a central defender or a fullback that can invert. You know what I mean?
And I would also say as well, I'm not stubborn with my opinions on players. And I'll put it like this. When I found, and I've said it on this broadcast before, when I found out that we put a bid in for Danny Welbeck, and we're buying Danny Welbeck, I was incandescent, mate. I was literally frothing at the mouth. Like, what? How do we? What? Anyway, fast forward, he won me over. I love Danny Welbeck. If I hear his name mentioned, I like to, what's going on? What's happened? If I see his name come up when I'm reading something, I stop and read it. You know, if I'm watching Match of the Day and his team comes on and he's in the lineup, I won't fast forward through it. I will watch it. What I'm saying is that I can be won over. So I'm not shutting the door on Kai Havertz at all. It's in his hands.
Yeah.
Like Kai Havertz is watching this now going, fuck me, I can still make Stan happy. It's not about that. But you know what I'm saying.
Look, we were talking about Fabio Vieira. Maybe not us, but people were talking about Fabio.
Gary's not here. Gary's not here.
Teabag!
There you go.
Teabag! It's Teabag, Gary. We were talking about Teabag last season, and I thought he did quite well against Brentford, but he didn't kick on last season. Here,
you didn't keep the faith like I did. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like I was
not
going,
as strongly as you.
It wasn't like I was going, I know, you wait. I was going, I want it to work. I'm keeping my faith. For the amount of money that we've spent, and you know his assist numbers in his last season in Portugal, and the affection that I kind of got for him because he reminds me of Teabag from Prison Break. I've been willing him to come good, and I'm so glad to see that. At long last, my prayers are being answered. But there was that one about the lottery that's not been taken care of yet.
Come on, man,
but
upstairs.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, oh yeah, I always knew. I was hoping, I was praying, and I'm glad to see that he could be really important for us. I think that he could be that player that you think of in like a Bernardo Silva, even a Santi Cazorla kind of way of playing.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm hoping for.
I had faith in him as well. You might have had a little bit more faith. I'm hearing that now in what you're saying. But yeah, Fabio Vieira a year later, it could be what Havertz will be next season or later this season. You know what I mean? That as soon as he understands our system, understands where he needs to be, all of that good stuff. But for me, we are going in against a team in Manchester United who have given us some issues over the last 2 seasons, maybe. We haven't gotten full points from them in many games, in many seasons. We haven't done the double in many seasons. And we've got to make up for those 2 points dropped against Fulham. It's not the end of the world. We dropped points against Fulham, but we're going to be facing up against Manchester United with probably the knowledge that Man City have beaten Fulham a day before, and now are 5 points ahead of us, albeit 4 games into the season. And we're going to have that pressure of closing that gap again.
I predict that, you know, like usually an hour before kickoff is when the lineups are published. That website that does it will probably, for the Arsenal game, will probably have the highest hits it's ever had right on 11 o'clock. Because none of us know what the lineup's going to be. Do we?
I've got it right here. I know.
I know what you can say what you want and what you'd like to see, but no one can predict what Mikel Arteta. As I'm saying, it wouldn't surprise me if David Raya was in goal. I'm not saying that's what I think or I want, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Because I can't. There's no logic to this guy that I can kind of follow as a method.
I was hoping.
Just when I think I know what he's doing, he does something out of left, really out of left field, and I'm like, I don't have a clue, mate.
Yeah, I was hoping that was cluing in or keying in on what Mikel Arteta was doing. The Community Shield against Manchester City, Havertz played that centre forward role. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays Havertz up front against Manchester United. Even with Eddie in this rich vein of form, we've gotten Eddie nailed down tonight as our centre forward for Sunday. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kai Havertz plays there. Well, I got to have Partey in midfield. I got to have Rice at left 8 and Ødegaard right 8 for me.
I mean, that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I mean, with Declan Rice, I mean, I don't know what his best position is. Is it a 6 or an 8? Same with Thomas Partey. Could you play with Rice as the 6 and Partey as the 8? I don't know. But,
I think Declan Rice is good enough to make either position work, And Thomas Partey it may be the maybe our best midfielder in some games, but he's not going to be as consistent as Declan Rice throughout the whole season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to see games where Partey would be man in the match, but Declan Rice will be a mainstay of our midfield and very consistent. I feel through the season. Moss said, "That's true, Stan. I've been saying my mind can be more made up on Kai once he has had Jesus starting with him and Zinchenko a left back, defensive central midfielder in there too." Spencer goes on to say, "We aren't putting our chances away either. How many
No,
shots on target did
no.
we have on Saturday? Went straight at Leno." And I think, in fairness, Martinelli is one of those players that's hitting a lot of them straight at the keeper as well. But I guess if you keep shooting, Stan, it's going to come good for you in the end.
The biggest problem is that we are letting in goals that we shouldn't be letting in. We've got this
Yeah.
record about, the team that's letting in all these goals really early in 9 games or whatever it is, some stupid stat, right? So we've got that to deal with. At the other end of the pitch, it's not like we can't create chances and it's like our strikers are feeding on scraps. We're creating chances, but we don't put them away. That is 2 vital problems. Letting in too many goals, not scoring enough. It's simple math.
So if we get better at both of those things, then we win games 3-1, 4-1. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
3-0. Havertz's role is the position Erdegaard is in. I think Erdegaard's occupying the right side, mostly BX, I'd say. BX, you are correct. We would make W better 10. Make with better 10.
I like what BX is saying. He's saying Odegaard, Teabag, and Rice. And I like the idea of that. But there's a part of me that is thinking that is Teabag ready yet? Is Teabag ready yet to be like, there you go, mate, you're right in there? Or do we keep easing him in, maybe using him? I like seeing him maybe in Carabao Cup game instead of Odegaard.
Mm-hmm.
If we can play a Carabao Cup game against a team and we give
Brentford.
Odegaard rest, and we put Fabio in there, because I think Teabag plays better without Odegaard.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
in his place without Odegaard. I think Teabag plays better.
I wouldn't be against rotating, as we said earlier in the podcast, rotate against Brentford in the Carabao Cup in a month from now, but don't rotate like Ange did with 9
Big
or 10
Ange.
years. Big Ange effed up.
Where's Mr. Tom when you need him? He loved those Big Ange references.
Adam's best chance of a trophy this season.
The Angelo family.
Under the new regime. And Odegaard is a must start always, Jose. Every time he subs off, we seem to get scored on early. That's
funny you say that, because after the last game, I saw someone put is it an X now? They put an X out, a tweet out, and they were basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that they've liked Odegaard, but we've kind of got to a stage now where we may have gone past him. Maybe we should be looking to move Odegaard on and putting Teabag into that place moving forward. And I just thought to myself, this has to be clickbait. This has to be. I mean,
somebody wanted a fight.
I mean, Odegaard's literally only been here for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why does everything have to be so reactionary? Teabag comes on. It's only a couple of weeks ago, people wanted him out to go out and loan, or go in the gym and turn himself into Lou Ferrigno. Do you know what I mean? Or Popeye.
Yeah.
He comes in. He looks good. Now they want to start every game.
Yeah. Overreactionary.
Why does it have to be one thing or the extreme? Why can't we just be like, well, this is looking good.
Let him be.
People like to use the word cook. Instead of trying to fry the shit out of him, why can't we just leave it on a low simmer and cook it that way, instead of fucking trying to put it in the microwave in full fucking heat? The guys are starting to get confidence. There's no rush. The season's long and arduous.
Exactly. Listen, he came on. He had a great cameo, and maybe he showed Havertz some things about the positions he needs to take up in attacking phases of play. But to have him in that midfield, where Man United are going to be probably tough with Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes will be in there, and somebody has given me a Manchester United fan has given me their lineup. They would put McTominay in there with Bruno and Casemiro in midfield. So I can't see Fabio thriving around the McTominay in there. Spencer said, I wanted Havertz, but closer to 35 million. He would get less stick if he costs 30 to 40. Yeah, and I think we were too easy. That happened so quick. We were too easy to part with 65 million. It's like wait it out, Edu, and we will still get Havertz for 50. So yeah, if we waited this out till the end of this window, maybe we could have gotten Havertz now at a cheaper rate. My argument is that Partey played at right back is due more to Zinchenko and Timber's availability than fitting Havertz into the team. Yeah, like the whole thing about switching players around and the injury of the Yuri and Timber has had some ripple effects in our squad as well, alongside Gabriel Magalhaes. When Odegaard doesn't start, Kai should be the replacement. Maybe we'll see him start to cook, says BX. Chelsea had to get players off the books until, July. We had time. Yeah, they did it with about 10 days to spare. I think it was late June when Havertz came. We could have made Chelsea sweat a little bit more. Saka gonna rip Red Devils up. We hope so, Moss. Saka needs a big performance as well.
I'll be 1 second.
Sure. I want 6 points from United. Put these people to bed here. Do a double over United would be very welcome. And BX, they have, and everyone in the chat here, Stan as well, they have injuries at the back. Luke Shaw is injured, going to be out for a few months, and Varane is going to be out for a few months as well. So that is their left side kind of cut apart by injuries. So I saw something about Cucurella maybe coming from Chelsea. Not sure about what's going to happen there, but I've been given a lineup here from a Manchester United fan. They want Bissaka as your right back, Lindelof as your right central defender. Martinez, the butcher from Amsterdam, will be holding down that midfield, and Dalot will be your left back because Stan, they have injuries now. Manchester United with Varane being out, and Luke Shaw is injured as well.
I may have said this on the Sunday show, but the thing is about playing at Man United right now. Me personally, I'm rubbing my hands together because they look a bit shit at the moment.
Yes.
They look like they've got a problem in their midfield, and I'm like, this is probably a really good time to play them. However, the way that we have looked in the first 3 games compared to how we looked last season, I can imagine Man United fans are probably looking at us and saying the same thing, and that's what worries me. They're probably looking at us with the way that we played last 3 games, looking at early goals, stuff like that, and thinking, if we're going to play Arsenal, probably now's a good time to play them, and that's a bad place to be in.
I think they've got a few more injuries though. Saka up against
they're probably going to be coming into this game feeling more confident because of the way that we've been playing. If we were playing that crisp football that we did last season, they may have been coming into this a bit nervous, which is a help. Yeah. Now they might be coming into this thinking, we could nick a point here, boys, maybe all 3.
Yeah, we got to do them at the Emirates, though. It's so important to register 3 points on Sunday. It's another home game. We've only played 1 away game at Crystal Palace, and you got to take advantage of your home fixtures in this Premier League. Spencer said, Teabag is funny. I had tons of people cussing him all summer and last season. Gets an assist, and same haters are worshipping him. Vieira is in his second season. Hopefully comes good. Patience for Havertz as well. And that's what I'm saying. Let's give Havertz some time, Stan.
My answer to that would be that when Martin Odegaard completed his first loan stint at Arsenal, people still wanted us to go out and buy Buendia.
Madison too, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
I thought he looked good when he came to us on loan. I knew there was more to come. And now look what he's doing for us.
Now he's doing bits. I like Havertz, but Odegaard, Partey, and Rice, they are our best midfield. And I think coming up against a top six team, even here we are, we're playing at homestand where we're traditionally we've been playing too open. We've been playing too open at home. I'd like to see Partey and Rice in midfield in a double pivot when we don't have the ball. Don't concede. I don't mind going into the second half at 0-0.
How are we keeping? Remember last season? How were we keeping more clean sheets away from home? Shit in the bed at home. That was just weird, wasn't it? It's good to see. You remember that Ramsdale he was like second highest keeper with the best clean sheets away from home, or first for a period of time, and which is fantastic. But then if you're juxtapositioning that by shitting your bed at home, you're undoing all the good work, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Indeed. You could run a 4-4-2 with Eddie and Havertz up top. Here we go. Speaking your language, Stan.
Yeah, man.
Saka on the right, Martinelli
on left. My language now, man. Two up top.
George Graham days.
Hang on. I'm going lightheaded. Hold on. I'm just getting faint here a minute. Oh.
Just think of Rice and Partey in that midfield.
Deep breaths.
Saka and Martinelli tearing down the wing, sending crosses in for Havertz, heading the ball.
Two up front is coming back. There's lots of teams which are adopting formations that encompass two up front. You only have to look at Man City, who are supposed to be the blueprint of how football is played these days. There are times when Kevin De Bruyne is ahead of Haaland.
Yeah,
he's coming in as a second striker. When we play off the ball, we're in 4-4-2 low block anyway, off the ball.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we could start seeing. I think things always come around in cycles. Like flared trousers, when flared trousers came back in '95. You're like, really? Okay, everyone's wearing flared trousers again. Things come back around. Two up top is coming back around.
It's coming back again. Partey, we need, if they have Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno. I don't know. I think there's some doubt about Eriksen. Why my Manchester United friend did not pick Eriksen for this team. And Eriksen...
He was in the last game, wasn't he? He played in the last game, Eriksen.
He scored. Mehmet's here, the new face around. Ultraslan is back. I don't know what that means. Maybe Fabio, even Martinelli, and then bring Martinelli on for speed. Casemiro have yellows, and we buried him. United are going to try to chip our back line. They did it in the summer and at home last year.
Well, I'll say is this, right? If that's the weakness and you've identified it, I bloody well hope Mikel has. No, I mean,
yeah, Mikel needs to have seen it as well.
Identified that.
Yeah. Odegaard is world class. That's crazy. Exactly, Stan.
Thank you.
I love United. I love the United have to go to Munich. Harry Kane will score against United, Stan.
Hope so.
They go to Istanbul as well. They signed Spud, Reguilon, Ray, and Stan.
That's
Play
right,
him versus. They signed Reguilon. Oh, nice. Ray, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Havertz watch for a few games and come on. And Beatrice and Fabio, super sub and win your spot. We need to think, Stan, the players who could be on the bench. Leandro Trossard, Havertz, Fabio Vieira. We got some players, maybe Reece Nelson. There's 4 players who could come on and impact the game.
Yeah.
If we need it.
I think so. Players that, I hope, you want your players to be knocking on the door to be in the first team. And I said this a while ago. We should stop thinking about first 11s and think of squads. Mm-hmm. That's how Manchester City do it. They don't think of a first 11. They have a squad of 25 or whatever it is, 23, 25. And he will pick the team each week from those group of players. And those players that don't get picked that week, they have to understand that this is how it is at this club if you want to win the treble. Yeah. If you want to play minutes every week, you need to go and play at that other club. And you'll play more minutes there, but you ain't winning shit. This is where you win. Do you know what I mean? I can imagine that's the conversation. That's a conversation I'd be having with the players. You got to stop thinking about this, lads, as a first 11 and backups. We have a squad of 25. You'll all get your minutes.
I gotta step away for just a second, Stan, but let me put a scenario to you. Are you any good at improv?
I'm not bad, but I mean, all I'm saying is, right, you know, I just hope that this channel is still here when you get back. And if it's not, and I put a lot of work into this channel,
well,
I'm
look,
sorry.
I'm not giving the controls up like Tom had controls of Gary's a few weeks ago. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you can maybe improv this with the chat box.
Can I do a voice? No, I'm joking.
You can do a Mikel Arteta voice as well, as long as it's not too, as long as it's a good one.
I feel like this is like mission. It's all gone Mission Impossible. It's like, Stan, your mission, should you accept it?
It's a bit like whose line is it anyway? What do you think Mikel Arteta's gimmick? You know, we saw this in All or Nothing. Is he going to use a light bulb? Is he going to use something else? Is he going to be energetic? What's his team talk going to be like 2 minutes before the team go out on the field to face Man United on Sunday? If you don't want to do that, just talk about the game. I'll be right back.
All right. Right, he's gone.
The impossible task.
Oh, he's still here. He's still here. He's gone? Right, he's gone, everyone. It's now just you and me. What should we talk about? Black magic? No, I'm joking. Man United. It's one of those games that, I mean, they're the old enemy, aren't they? Even though Tottenham are considered our rival, I can remember when I was a bit younger, it almost felt like Manchester United was the rival. You know, I always used to say, you know, my missus is Canadian and she doesn't know a lot of the history. And I had to try and explain it to her like this. I said, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, if I had a magic wand and I was just allowed to wish away Man United like they never existed, do you know how many league titles we would have had? Countless. Countless. They've always managed to find a way back in those days to undo us. But football for me is always a bit like a wheel, you know? And the wheel, it turns. And there was a time when Arsenal was quite near the top of the wheel. It's been a while now, isn't it? So we've been kind of like near the bottom of the wheel. But the wheel is definitely turned because Man United are no longer at the top of the wheel. And we are kind of like at 5 to 12. We're at 5 to 12. Manchester City, they're at 12 o'clock. We're at 5 to 12. And it's quite easy for us to sneak into that 12 o'clock place. But I do think to myself that after everything that we saw last season, the way that we played, how close we came, and that we've gone out and spent the amount of money that we have to come back into the fight this year, and that we should be a lot stronger. Even though we've managed to take 7 points out of 9, I look at the way that we've played, and I just feel that we haven't been playing to our full potential. We kind of, even though we've spent extra money, and I suppose with Timber, we have to discount him. I think the best thing you can do with Timber is pretend that we haven't even signed him. Next season, when we start the next season, that will be like another signing. That's what I think we should do with Timber. He doesn't play for Arsenal anymore. There is no Timber until next season, and then we can count him as a new signing because he ain't going to do nothing for us this season, unfortunately. But I lost my train of thought there because I sidetracked myself. The wheel, yeah, I was talking about the wheel and how that we spent all of that money, and even though we've spent all of that money, we don't look like, for me, I don't look like our players gone on a notch from last season. To me, it looks like it's gone down a notch. It doesn't look as crisp, doesn't look as sharp, doesn't look as fluid. Do you know what I mean? As what I saw last season.
Yeah. And
that's what really bothers me at the moment. Because, okay, we've got 7 out of 9, but the next 6 games are quite difficult. Some of you put them up in the last podcast that we did. The next 6 games.
Yes, let me put them up. Yeah.
There's some tough fixtures. There's some tough fixtures in there, and fixtures which, on paper, you think that we should be able to get the better at. And I think that's going to be a big acid test. But if Mikel Arteta wants to find us to play, look, what was the last game of last season? he kind of showed us, didn't he? He kind of let us look behind the curtain. Last game of last season, what position did Thomas Partey play?
Right back. You rest your case, don't you?
He let us have a little peek.
Yep.
It was like next season on Arsenal FC, and we got to have a little snapshot of what's going to come up in the next, like they do on TV shows.
Yeah. A little preview of next season. Next season, we have to do better in the cups, as Moss said. We own the FA Cup. Time to win it again. Time to do well in the Carabao Cup. Get past Brentford, as we said earlier in the podcast. You get past Brentford, there's a lot of Premier League fixtures in that Carabao Cup that a Newcastle could go away, a Crystal Palace could go away.
Yeah, but you know who ain't in them Premiership fixtures?
Who?
Hotspur.
No, they're not, because Big Ange rotated. Rotated big Ange, and he had to cry a little bit in the press conference. Timber will absolutely feel like another signing. It'll probably be March, Dan, maybe March when he comes back. So,
but even when you come back from the injury, you got to recuperate and your fitness and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we'd be lucky if we see him come on as a substitute in the last game, just to give us all a little wave and say, "Remember me."
It's such a pity because we had signed the player. Okay, we signed the forward, our left eight in Kai Havertz unexpectedly. Then we went big. Remember we were talking. I was happy with Rice. Some of us would have wanted Caicedo. The dream would have been both, but we got Rice. What turned out to be cheaper than Caicedo in the end. And we had something locked down in Urian Timber. He looked pretty darn good in that first game and in preseason. And so we have to make do without Urian Timber now for 5 months.
Rest of the season. How long's the season?
Them off?
Season's what, 8 months?
Yeah, 8 or 9 months. Yeah.
I'd be surprised if we see much of him this season, to be honest. Because when he comes back, he ain't going to play like the following week when he's built. You have to have that a little bit of rehabilitation time, the training. He has to get back into the groove.
It'd be nice if we have an FA Cup run for him to come back to, or we're doing well in the league, or we still have involvement in the Champions League. Because let's face it, looking at that Champions League draw, we really should be topping the group. And when
what we'll know, won't we? When they register the players for the Champions League, have they already done that, or is that they're going to have to register the players? Has Urian Timber already been submitted and we can't use him now, or are we yet to submit? And if we yet to submit, is his name going to be added?
Interesting.
I don't know how that works.
That would be interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know we had the situation a couple of seasons back with the Europa League. We had too many players at the time, and some of them had to go on the holidays or something. And they weren't going to be registered for the Europa League. I think the same thing will happen. We have to register players for the Champions League, and I feel.
Do you remember when Mick Arteta was just cold as hell, man, and he didn't register Mesut Ozil for the Premier League?
Yeah, or Sead Kolasinac is Minder.
Man.
Both of them. It was cold.
That was a bold move, man. I mean.
Yeah. Look, to be fair, Mikel Arteta, I don't think that he's been found wanting when it comes to these big decisions. So much so you're not sure who the goalkeeper might be on Sunday.
It could be that.
Could be right.
Do you remember he had Trossard in the team for a while? As soon as Gabriel Jesus came back, he put him straight back in the team.
Yeah.
He didn't say, "Okay, I'm going to continue rewarding this guy and doing some good stuff. I'm putting this guy straight back in." So we don't know how.
As far as Tony's takes go, Tony said if Trossard had stayed in the team, we may have actually won the league. Tony feels like, yeah. Tony feels like.
Mm-hmm. And if my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle.
True.
Well, maybe she'd still be my auntie in today's climate. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. We see Liverpool signing Ryan Gravenberch as well. Romano is confirming that one. So Liverpool going to get another midfielder in the house as well. Look, our Arsenal have to go out and get a Florida Gators. Not having a good time, losing 24-3. Florida Gators.
Which team is Gary back in?
He's the Florida Gators. The team
that are losing.
Yeah, they're losing. Gary. You could have been here,
Unlucky, Gary. Unlucky.
You could have been here, Gary.
Could have been. Oh well.
Yeah. Look, United, they're still going to have Rashford up top. Sancho.
Well, I think they play him on the left, isn't it?
That's his best position. Him on the left. Yeah.
I mean, this is another thing as well, right? Why is there not the same amount of energy towards the amount of money that Manchester United has paid on players who just haven't come off and they've been
down to the fan base?
You could go all the way back to. This is what reminded me of it when I said, Rashford plays on the left. Who did they play for the middle in the last game? Anthony Martial. I mean, if you ever wanted a definition of a pup, there is one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know in his contract when they bought him, the add-ons. One of the add-ons was that the club selling to Man United would receive X amount of millions when he gets the Ballon d'Or. Do you know what I mean?
That's for real.
You know what I mean?
Not really a clause.
That was a clause in his contract, yeah. Anthony Martial. I mean, that just looks like wild dreams when you think of it now. That's like, were they on acid when they put that contract together? But that's what he was touted as, right? That was what, 52 million or something like that he cost, right?
A lot of money.
Look at Anthony.
Hasn't paid off.
Anthony. And you don't hear the same energy about it, do you? You don't hear the same energy about Anthony.
Well,
he's been there for how long? Kai Havertz has played 3 games.
Yeah.
The other one, Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho.
They're all United pundits, then. They're not going to say anything about their own club.
Jadon Sancho is another one. And then Slabhead himself, 80 million they paid for that guy. 80 million pounds. Right? Do you know what I mean? And the guy's in the wilderness. If you add all the money up that they have literally pissed up the wall, it's quite breathtaking.
And they still look. They get a few injuries,
and they mug us off about Willian, and we got him on a free.
Yeah.
And they mug us off about that. Do you know what I mean? They nail us to the cross about it.
They have a few injuries, and then they look really threadbare. Sancho probably through the middle. Anthony, your friend, will be on the right for them probably with Bruno Fernandes.
Good.
So it's gonna be a good game on Sunday. Are you going down the pub to watch it, or are you gonna stay?
I might do. Yeah, I think I'm going to go to the pub maybe.
Get a little bit of bounce, a little bit of atmosphere there.
We've got a long weekend there,
Should be good.
I could do with some daylight.
If you got any last questions, you could do with some daylight. If you got any last questions, why are there not speed bumps outside Stan's house? Where are the seagulls today?
Yeah.
These are the burning questions, Stan. Have you got any other cards for me? Devil advocate cards?
No, I think we've covered everything.
We have.
I mean, we've got 24 hours to see if anything is if we're going to have any new additions or we're going to bring any money in. So we've still got 24 hours to see what happens there. And then we can, once the transfer window slams shut, because apparently it slams shut. Yeah, it doesn't just close.
Jim White. Yeah. Jim White's still working.
He's on Talk Sport, isn't he?
Yeah.
Simon Jordan.
All right, so he's going to be doing. Is he going to be doing that thing, Jim White?
The thing with the yellow tie that he does
Sky
every year.
Sports.
I don't know if he still gets employed for that or not. I don't get Sky over here, but when that, when the window slams shut, then we can sit back and then we can evaluate.
Yeah.
We can evaluate if we think we've got enough to get us through the season, and then we can all bite our fingernails until we see the squad line up come out on Sunday.
Yeah.
See what madness our managers. Hear that in the background?
Is that dog?
Yeah, that was Win from the training ground.
He's like, I've got to piss on that olive tree. You can't stop me.
There you go. All right, boy.
Hey, everybody loves a win, and hopefully we get a win on Sunday as well. One final thing I was going to say, but I've forgotten. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll get out of here. One thing, Gabriel Magalhaes, the window in Saudi Arabia is a month later than ours, so a lot will happen tomorrow as well, I'm sure. Hopefully we get a player coming in as well. But listen, everybody, we're gonna see what happens through the weekend, and we'll have to win a game on Sunday, and hope we can against Manchester United. Much needed. Stan, thanks for joining me tonight. We covered a lot of things.
Good, great to be here. And
All right.
Look forward to coming back on Sunday with the rest of the game.
All right, cool. Everybody have a great weekend. Let the beers flow right now. It's 5 o'clock somewhere on a Friday. Take care, everyone.
See you later.